What is the best rumor you have ever heard about yourself? Not me, but a dude I was in high school with apparently died in a motorcycle accident. Goodbye posts for him flooded my Facebook feed. Days later we found out he was just playing pool somewhere and had no internet connection. Must have been hilarious for him. After just 2 days of 8th grade, I had E. coli that landed me in ICU for 6 weeks. The rumors spread like crazy about what happened. Some said I was poisoned. Others thought I had stomach cancer. At the varsity football game, the announcer asked for prayers as he told everyone I wasn't expected to make it through the night. No doubt, I was really sick, but my favorite was that I was airlifted to Florida to have a stomach transplant. Since no human stomachs were available, it was a cow's stomach that would be transplanted. The irony here is that the E. coli came from a burger. A few years ago I volunteered in a desolate little village way up in the northwest corner of Georgia, the country. Then, as now, I was a brown-haired, blue-eyed, ginger-bearded, translucent-skinned Irish American. After 6 months of teaching, I left the village for a week or two of summer vacation. By the time I'd returned, a rumor had spread among the villagers that I was actually black. Dato told me that you are black. Okay, well, who told Dato that? He just said he heard it around. Alright, but look at me. How am I black? I don't know, comma. They say that you are black but you are lying about it, comma. This went on for a month or two. Then a rumor started spreading about the Irishman in the next village over, that he had gone on a bender in Tbilisi, blown all his money, and hiked some 150 miles home. So that took the heat off me for a while. This would be a perfect sitcom episode on something like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I started in a kitchen and every time I would walk in someone would turn off the ceiling fan and everyone would be suspiciously quiet with their pots and pans. Turns out the boss convinced them that I was some duper secret soldier friend of his who has come back with shell shock. Ceiling fans remind me of choppers and loud noises will send me into a rage. It was hilarious, because I'm the most laid back passive dude ever. That is actually really sweet of them to be so considerate of your condition. I had a week off school because I was run over by a milk float. Thank you, older brother. I got straight tackle hugged by the 300-pound guy who taught me how to fix Xerox copiers. He had heard one of his ex-students died and he thought it was me. So when he saw me on the street he was stoked. Pretty sweet considering it was only a 2-week class. Was just recently. Apparently I quit my job and started a poster making business. Definitely not the case and weirdly specific. When I was in high school I made out with a girl who knew one of my best friends. I found out a few days later, from my friend, that the girl was telling people we had slept together, and that I was apparently really good. Double-edged sword, that one. I fell out of a balcony. Later that week I got a message from a friend in London asking if it was true that I was pushed out of the window of a girl's apartment. Well, there must be some reason you fell off that balcony, so. When I was in high school I burned my wrist while taking a pizza out of the oven, so had to wear a bandage for a few days for it to heal. Some girl that was in my French class told people that I tried to kill myself. She also asked me, did you commit suicide at one point? Yes, I committed suicide and I'm dead now. That's why I'm sitting here. I got that at school, burned my wrist on the edge of an iron trying to pick it up cack-handed, was called into the office and grilled on whether everything was alright at home. Once I realized and explained, my form tutor laughed, called me a clumsy T and told me to frick off out of his office. He was an awesome teacher. I heard a rumor when I was 16 that I had slept with some boy at my school. He had been telling everyone all about our supposed night of loving, so I went along with it. Told people he called out his mum's name, wanted me to spank him and call him a naughty boy. I went so far as to say that when we were done he asked if he could lick my toe. Best revenge ever. I went along with most of it, but I absolutely refused to let him use the furry costume. His persona was just weird. I don't care how much he begs. I'm not calling him wedgie. Apparently was dating 6 different co-workers in 2 months of work, all at separate times. In reality, I was one of the few guys at said job capable of talking to and getting along with whoever I worked with. That I was dating an older woman for cash. It was in my last year in high school. I started to work out and wear clothes that fitted me better, and somehow people concluded that my transformation from ugly duck to not so ugly swan had something to do with an older woman paying me for intercourse. More than one teacher tried to help me to get out of this life. God bless them. Props to your teachers for at least attempting to help. Misguided, but nice. That I was in a drugs gang and moved away from a city because of rival gangs. I moved from London out to the countryside when I was 14-15 because my family hated the city. Just before we moved, one of my close friends was murdered by a gang that thought he was somebody else. He was completely innocent. It was just a case of mistaken identity. There was a picture online of him, me and a few other friends. Someone at my new school saw this picture and assumed because my friends were all tough looking black guys they must have been in a gang, and I was friends with a guy that just got murdered in gang related activity. People thought I was a badass, and so many of the popular kids wanted to be my friend because they thought I dealt coke. The funniest interaction was a guy shouted something at me and I just told him to frick off and walked away. He's twice my size and could easily kick me butt, and starts wanting to fight, but his friends quickly step in and say how he should be scared because I know people that would frick him up. All of this wore off once they actually spoke to me and realized I was just another nerdy kid that happened to be friends with tough looking people, one of which was murdered. Basically, people from the countryside were scared of black people and anyone that is friends with them. I've had multiple friends independently come to the conclusion that I'm gay, one of them right after congratulating me on my new girlfriend. It's okay, I had a girl ask me if I was gay immediately after fricking. When I was 13, I was dating a 17-year-old cheerleader. A kid saw me going into her house a couple times a week and sometimes in the yard together. Truth, our moms were friends and my mom hired the cheerleader to tutor me because I know math goodly. I returned to college at 30 after breaking up with my boyfriend and moving in with my sister. I made new friends and most of them were couples, probably because my new friends were in their 30s and 40s. Lots of times, folks were having barbecues or dinners at their houses and I was catching rides to get there with random sets of friends because the car I purchased with cash was a hoopty. Sometimes I stayed over at people's houses because I had to get up for school in the morning and their house was closer. Whoever picked me up that week was obviously the couple I was currently sleeping with. That rumor went around for 3 years before I figured it out. I heard by my now ex that I was fricking anyone in the year that had a vag. Didn't take me long to figure out who made that rumor when I saw who she was dating after that. I wish that rumor were true, but I would have never cheated on her to begin with. Sports day in school. Girlfriend's best friend told literally everyone that would listen that when I sat down on the bench after my race, she could see my dong in the gap between my shorts and my leg and that it hung down by the side of my leg. To quote her, "He's hung like a horse." I'm really not, but I was grateful for the amount of female attention I received after that. I dropped my high school girlfriend during vigorous stand-up intercourse, which caused her to throw her back out and be unable to walk properly. Ex was an absolute bro and told everyone that I'd fricked her hard enough to cause a back injury, making me a legend around school for a week or so. She didn't even spill the beans when we broke up 6 months later. Ex is the real MVP. When I was in high school, for reasons unknown I guess it went around that I was gonna bring a bomb into school. With this rumor going around, a lot of kids avoided me and often talked about me behind my back. Now, I found this situation hilarious and petty, so I decided to start pushing it along. I started carrying my lunch in a small wooden box that I carried around with the rest of my stuff that I would keep underneath my desk. When asked by other students what it was, I would reply along the lines of, "It's not your problem," or "You'll find out eventually." Eventually this drew a lot of attention and a couple days later the principal called me into his office, stating that I was causing a mass panic, that he called my mother and that he needed to see what was in the box when she arrived. Alas, it was only my lunch and I played dumb to the rumors and my mother was peeved that she came all the way here just to see what I packed for lunch. Great times. The rumor was that I had AIDS. Rumor was based on my sudden weight loss. Turned out they got the wrong illness. I had, and still have, cancer. That went from to real quick. Man, when I was in high school there was this kid we'll call Mika. He was a straight up dong, all the time, but he never touched me. He always just used words. liked to talk a lot of crap about me, as much as possible, it seemed. He started rumors about me all the time, and the weird thing was, I never really understood why, like I had never done anything to this dude. Anyway, in 10th grade, my mother, my sister, and I went on vacation to Virginia and we were gone for like a week. When I came back, everyone was keeping their distance and making weird faces at me when I walked by. My best friend came up to me and was like, Mika told everyone your family all got body lice and you had to be out of school for a week while you were getting rid of it. I tried to shake it off and not worry about it, but it was really freaking bothering me. That day after school I was waiting on my ride and Mika was also waiting on his ride. So I confronted him in front of like 15 other people and asked him why he was always talking crap and spreading lies. He tried to act tough a couple of times but I wouldn't back down and told him, basically in so many words, that this was going to be a fight, and that we were past the point of talking, and that lousy little bee ran from me. And so, a new rumor got started, that Mika was a bee, only that rumor was true, and then he later got kicked out of school for selling pills to people. So I feel like everything worked out in the end. I saw in an online forum thread that apparently I've taken up pizza baking as my new career. When I was 16 they had just put up the goalposts in our local park. Me and a couple of friends were playing a game where you take 3 steps in the 6-yard box and then jump and grab onto the crossbar. It was too easy so I decided to try and make it with just 2 steps. I ended up just getting my fingertips onto the crossbar, falling hard on my back and pretty much snapping both my forearm bones in my right arm. I had to spend the night in hospital and missed a day of school. When I came back with my arm in a cast, these are just some of the reasons my friends had told people I'd been off. Toby, a boy in year 7 at our school who was a legit giant, must have been at least 6 feet at 12 years old, mugged me for my Aerobie Pro. Shouted Toby smash and broke my arm. A huge dog knocked me down. I got hit by a car. I got hit by a car trying to get my frisbee back from Toby. They pretty much changed the story for every person they told. We all got a good laugh out of it. Frick Toby. Visited Samoa in 2009 while a tsunami hit. A friend back home spread a rumor throughout our school that I was swept by the wave and broke both of my legs and almost died. Supposedly 2 people cried for me. My boss was a very attractive female. I am a male. She told a couple of my co-workers that I am gay because I never hit on her. People started asking in subtle ways my orientation. There was a rumor going around my primary school when I was there that I had a big dong. Some people even referred to me as BED, big enormous dong. Sadly, it is far from true. I used to work in a secondary school. The rumor with the kids was that over the summer holidays, I left to fight the Undertaker. I didn't put them straight on that one. That I was a hitman. Aged 22, I was in prison and had recently been transferred to a new facility. One of my old friends was there, let's call him Joe, and upon greeting one another he walked me around the yard to introduce me to everyone. This is a pretty normal disguise with me sort of courtesy which typically allows you to bypass the usual working out where you fit into the pecking order fights. So, Joe's walking me around and last of all we head over to this table where some of the older guys were playing cards. Because this was our last stop, I understood that these were the most senior serious people. He introduces me to each of them and then goes, and boys, this is H8 speech. He is a hitman. Now, he was joking, and usually nobody would ever take a line like that seriously. However, there was a sort of confluence of circumstances. The first thing was that half the guys at the table were killers, so it's not too far off possible. The second thing was that my mate Joe who'd been walking me around is a serious gangster, and everyone knows it, so it was plausible that he would know hitmen. The third thing was that obviously he and I knew each other from way back, and nobody else knew how. The fourth thing was that I got peed off at him for saying this and told him off. See, I realize these guys are bad motherfuckers. I don't want them thinking anything like that and I don't want them thinking I'm even claiming it, but I didn't think, hey, I should be careful what I say to Joe because I knew him so well. To me, he was just my mate Joe. To everyone else, though, Joe is pretty impressive, and so when the young guy, me, tells him off in a peed off voice then they kind of think whoa, crap's about to go down. because you don't talk to guys like him like that. When Joe apologized instead of stomping on my head, they figured I must be a real badass and that therefore Joe had been telling the truth. I was wearing that rep for the next few months. Awkward. Many Redditors called me a fat American neckbird living in my mom's basement. I'm a skinny Asian girl and my mom doesn't even have a basement. Hahaha, good one Dennis. I'll see you at our next D&D campaign, buddy. This week, she's sleeping with the boss. We saw them share a bottle of wine after work. What a mess. The guy is married with kids. Overheard this whilst I was in the washroom. The following week, she is a lesbian. During the party, she was hugging the girls whilst singing karaoke. Make up your freaking mind. I can't be sleeping with my boss who's male if I'm a bloody lesbian. You freaking twats. You can, but only if it's for professional reasons. Rumor, gay stoner, reality, unattractive straight drunk. I got better. I had a small thing with a girl the summer before my parents shipped me off to military school on the other side of the country. I was sent because they believed I needed to be more focused on my academics. Well, apparently this girl saw an opportunity and she took it. I got out on winter break a week before my old school did. So I visited one day at lunch and I was basically shunned by everyone. Some of my old closest friends wouldn't even talk to me. I said frick that and got out of there and never looked back. A few years later I was at a party and saw the girl. She looked at me and froze like a deer in headlights, then took off running. One of her friends came up to me and said, "Are you the guy?" and I explained I had no idea what the frick was going on. Her friend informed me that I was sent to military school as a punishment for abusing her and then stalking her when she tried to break it off, and that she had to leave the party because she had a restraining order against me. It was all news to my ears at the time. Eventually after a few years things wore off and now one of my best buds is dating her. It's funny how the world works. That I had a foot-long dong. She either had really poor eye judgment or she honestly had no idea how long a foot was. Either way, I thought it was all fun and denied nothing until I realized that it might have led to me having to disappoint a size queen sometime. So as much as it pained me at the time, I had to go LOL, that's ridiculous, when someone was upfront and asked. The Wicked Witch of the West is coming to steal all of your Halloween candy. Like this video in 2.1 seconds or she'll take all of it. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.